So the Diversity Blog is a project which fosters and empowers those with second and third generation identity. And it could be that you're born in a country where your parents and grandparents weren't, or you moved to a new country at a young age. So the project really celebrates and empowers people in these groups and fosters that really safe sense of community. So I'm here with Alison Lowe, the Deputy West Yorkshire Mayor for Policing. And I'd just like you to introduce yourself. Thank you for being here today.
Oh no, thank you for asking. Yeah, so my name's Alison Lowe and I'm the Deputy Mayor for Policing and Crime in West Yorkshire. I work for Tracy Brabin, the Mayor, and she is legally the Police and Crime Commissioner, but effectively I undertake the role of Police and Crime Commissioner on her behalf and on behalf of the nearly 2.4 million people who live across West Yorkshire. And the role is holding the police to account on behalf of the public. It's holding the police budget, so the police budget, if you include everything that they're doing, that's National Police Air Service, regional organised crime, is about £900 million a year, so very, very, very big force. And then we also engage with the public, so we've got an engagement team that goes out and talks to the public about their experiences of crime. We have got a commissioning function, so we commission about £10 million worth of activity each year, so all the ISVAs, independent sexual violence advocates, independent domestic violence advocates, independent stalking advocacy service, we commission all that. The SARC, the Sexual Assault Referral Centre for people subject to rape and serious sexual offending, we commission that. And then lots and lots of community activity across the whole of West Yorkshire through our Mayor Safe Communities Fund, through the Violence Reduction Partnership, we commission that. We also have a role in complaints and compliments, so if people want to compliment the police, great. If you want to raise a complaint or review a complaint that the police have already undertaken, we've got a statutory role there. And then I've got a national role, so I'm a member of the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners, and I lead on race disparities, human rights there, but also I lead on another portfolio which is all about transparency and integrity. So the two portfolios work really nicely together, and in that role I talk to the National Police Chiefs Council, that's all 43 Chief Constables across England and Wales. I talk to the Home Secretary, the Policing Minister, His Majesty's Inspector of Constabulary, College of Policing, all those national bodies that have got anything to do with policing. And then finally we've got a and crime role, and that means bringing together all the partners who might have anything to do with the criminal justice system, so Crown Prosecution Service, His Majesty's Court Service, probation, prisons, third sector working in criminal justice land. We bring all those people and organisations together to better use the resources that we've got, so we get the outcomes that we've laid out in our police and crime plan. So a lot of stuff, and I've encapsulated it in quite a pithy way there, but yeah, a lot of work. I'm very busy.
That sounds really impressive. You do a lot. Thank you for all your work. I was wondering as well then, so in terms of like the blog and like the concept of like identity, how would you describe your identity?
So my identity is multifaceted and complex, and it changes depending on who I'm with and how I'm feeling. So number one, I'm a woman. That's the most important bit of my identity. Mm-hmm. But I'm a black woman. I'm a working class black woman. Mm-hmm. I'm a mother. I'm a sister. These are important relationships that I have in my life, being a mother, being a sister. I love my sisters. I love my brother, but me and my sisters were tight. Yeah. And I love my children, but I'm a nana, I'm a grandmother. I love my grandchildren. I'm also the mother of 2 gay children, so I feel that I'm part of the LGBT plus community. Might be on the periphery, but I feel very close to that community. I feel very close to Ireland because my mum is Irish heritage. Her grandmother is from Enniskillen, the family name is Maguire, so I feel very close to my Irish roots, but I also feel very close to my Kittian roots. So my daddy, here he is, he's from St Kitts and Nevis, and he came over here as part of the Windrush generation in 1957, and all the things that embodied him, I feel that they're part of me too. I walk like him. You know, there's a lot of things about my dad that I share, but I'm probably closer to my mum in that she was a shop steward, she was a member of the Labour Party, she was a member of Unite, she was a political animal, she was great in an argument, she always won. So I feel like, even though I've got a lot in common with my dad, that I am Mark too of my mother, and so my identity is all wrapped up with the people who have gone before me, but also the people who have come after me, with me as a golden thread. You know, my grandchildren, my parents, my grandparents, and I take a little bit of those people who have come before and after, and that's all my identity. But you know, I'm a Leeds alumnus. I love Leeds University. When I was at university many moons ago, back in 1987, I was married with 2 children. My baby was 2 weeks old, so my daughter Rosie, who is now 38, she won't thank me for telling you that, she was a 2-week-old baby, and so I really identify very strongly with academia. I ended up doing a master's degree in medieval studies, and the university was a really safe place for me because I was also a survivor. I was a victim at the time of domestic abuse, so I'm a survivor. That's part of my identity too, and Leeds University was my safe space. It's where I went to write my essays and do the things I needed to do, but I knew there was no violence waiting for me there. So I'm very feel very close to Leeds University, but also I'm a survivor of other harms. So I was sexually abused as a child, so I feel very strongly that I'm a survivor, and that's part of my identity, and I talk about it a lot. So it's really quite complex, and I'm different things in different places at different times, and I really relish that. So I feel like I can connect to different people, and when someone's in front of me and there's a part of their lived experience that resonates with mine, I make that immediate connection. I know what that feels like. I've been there. Yeah. Let's come together on the basis of the things that bring us, that are similar, that bring us together, rather than focus on the things that are different and maybe separate us. Because at the bottom of it all, I'm all about people. So that's my identity. I'm a people person, woman, survivor, mother, nana, Leeds University alumnus, honorary doctorate. All these things are important to me. My OBE, everything has brought me to this place. But the most important thing is I'm happy.
I'm happy for you. And your lovely parents.
Yes.
I think you said that so beautifully. I really liked what you said about the golden thread. I think we're so much more than just the one thing.
Yeah.
Like, we're made up of so many different experiences. I think one thing that I use to describe my identity, or a little analogy, is like it being an invisible scale of like the different parts that make it up, and we sit on our level of that scale, and to just be proud of where we are on it.
Yeah, and of course you'll go up and down that scale, won't you? And I think that's also part of life. I experience mental health difficulties. Sometimes I have depression, I have anxiety. Not today, but some days.
Yeah.
I can't get rid of it. And in the past, I've experienced very severe panic attacks, but that's because I'm a survivor of childhood trauma. And sometimes I'll be on the top of the world, I'm up that scale, and the next minute I feel like I'm at the bottom and I can't get myself up. But that's life, isn't it? That's life. Yeah. That makes us who we are, because then one day I'm talking to somebody and maybe they're not the best they want to be, they're feeling really low, and I can say, I've been where you are. This is what I did, there's hope. Then that makes me feel like I'm being helpful, because public service, being helpful, being part of the solution is massively part of my identity. And so sharing that lived experience is part of the reason why I do what I do. It's part of my raison d'etre, and if I feel like I've helped another person, then I'm happy all day. That's joy for me, is making a difference to other people.
Absolutely. How has being second generation, or however you describe your identity there, impacted your life experiences so far?
It's given me so much, because I can see things from both perspectives, especially in the current environment that we're in, which is really quite hostile to refugee, asylum seeking people, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and definitely trans and non-binary people. The world is getting darker and darker. The rise of Islamophobia, the rise of anti-Semitism, and I have got a foot in both camps. So as a black person with my dad's heritage, that lived experience of being called the N-word, of facing discrimination, I really feel so empathy. I feel such empathy for people of colour, people who are different. Both my children are gay, so I understand how it is to be treated badly as a result of your sexual orientation or gender identity. But on the other, I was brought up in Seacroft, East Leeds, majority of people white, working class. I really understand the fear that people in white working class communities have experienced when their communities were changing. I was a counsellor for 30 years, and I could see Armley, where I was a counsellor, changing beyond recognition, and local people, good people, solid, really kind, compassionate community people, feeling worried about the changing face, literally the changing face of their community, and things that they had come to expect. My mum's getting old, the house next door's coming up, I'll get my daughter to live there, and then Nana will have someone who can always look after them, and she'll be able to do a bit of childcare so my daughter can go to work. That was an expectation in those working class close-knit communities for generations, and then suddenly the councils came up with these schemes where it was, you've got to be on a waiting list, and there's points, and whoever gets the top points gets to move into that house, and it's not based on who's lived there all their lives. And this is why people got frightened and worried, and nobody helped them to understand what was happening. This was about the global village, this was about the world changing, this was about floods and persecution and terrible things happening, some of which Britain was part of, some of which Britain contributed to. People just saw in their street things weren't as they used to be, and when people were frightened and wanted to talk about this stuff and some of their fears, we called them racists. So because I lived in those white working class communities all my childhood, I know that they're good people in the main. These are good people who want to live good lives, who are kind and compassionate, because even though we did experience racism as a family, we very quickly were welcomed into that community and lived happily in that community. Despite the things that happened from time to time, we were welcomed, and I feel very strongly that I'm a Seacroft girl, back to my identity. And I just feel that what we need to do is take that helicopter view and be kind to everyone. People have a view, and obviously if someone's an out and out racist and is meaning you harm, run for the hills. You can't create peace and harmony where people intend war and devastation. But most people are good. Most people want the conversation. Let's have the conversation. And I think if we have that conversation, we open people's understanding of what's happening in the world and how that's then impacting in their localities. We're doing everyone a favour, and hopefully by doing that service we make community cohesion possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Have you had any negative thoughts about your identity or experiences that might have made you think that way?
Not as an adult, but when I was a child, and living in a place like Seacroft where there were only 3 black families, not right at the beginning, we were the first black family there, and then there were 3 black families on a 4,000 council house estate. You got the N-word on a very regular basis. I remember thinking, I don't want to be black, I don't like being black. I remember saying to my mum, can you divorce my dad and marry a white man and then I'll turn white? I laugh now, but I did say that to her and she laughed at the time. But that wasn't because I didn't love my dad. Wow, I'm a daddy's girl, I adored my daddy. But I didn't want to face the daily racism that I was facing. It was weighing me down, wearing me down. But also what happened as a result of living in that environment, it wasn't every day, by the way. In the beginning, it felt like every day, but as we lived there and we, became part of the community, it got less and less and less, is that, I really learned to, stand up for myself. I built that resilience, because my mum would say, don't come here crying. You go out and batter them as I'll batter you. So I'd go out and I'd stand up for myself. I'm that racist. In them days, it would have fight on that field. We'd have, all the street would be out, the mums, the dads, honestly. And you'd be you two in the middle, fighting it out. And if you didn't fight it out, then you knew it one day they'd be there waiting for you, so you had to do it there and then. And obviously, if your mums and dads were there, then it was as safe as it could be. But yeah, we learned to fight for ourselves and for our principles, and that's why justice and fairness is so important to me. And I don't have to fight with my fists anymore. I haven't done for nearly 50 years, thankfully. But I do fight for justice every day with me. The power that I've got through the mayor, with the power that I've been born with my language skills, and with my advocacy, I fight for fairness and justice every day now, and it still feels as good as it did when I was a child. And when I stood up and it's like, right, I beat that racist, and next time someone comes, I'm gonna beat the next one. And it does feel good to win. It does feel good to win. But now it feels good when I win on behalf of others. It's not about me anymore. Mm-hmm. It's about the changes you can make, the policies you can change. So yeah.
A different kind of wins.
Yeah, it's different kinds of wins. Yeah. Yeah. As I'm older, and now I love the way I am now. I love myself. Yeah. I like myself, which is not the same thing. I like myself. But that's because I honour my values. I know who I am. I honour those values every day. I'm not saying I don't make mistakes. I'm not saying some days I'm not tired and I let myself down. Of course we all do that. But I forgive myself and I start again the next day, hopefully better than the day before. I know that I've got to learn every day, that I'm not yet the finished article. I've got things to learn. I want to learn. And I like that about me, that I'm very open to being better, because if I'm better, then I can get more justice, I can make a difference to more people, and I can deliver the objectives that I'm so passionate about.
Of course. Do you have an example of when your identity empowered you?
Oh, there's so many. I think being a woman in predominantly male spaces has been incredibly empowering. So I remember when I first got on the council, I was the first black woman on Leeds City Council, and that gave me power because people wanted to hear what I was saying. Some people were frightened of what I might say. Some people were really happy that I was there, and that gave me a platform. Because of my lived experience, I sometimes can really make people listen to what I've got to say, because I'm saying, can I just say that actually I know what that means. I know what the consequences of X, Y and Z are, and I can help people to see things from a different perspective, and hopefully that person will go out into the world and be a better person as a result. And so I think everything that I've learned growing up, every bit of me, all those different little bits of Alison that have all come together at different points in my life, all those points of difference have helped me win an argument, make a point, win over somebody who was maybe a doubting Thomas, help someone to see the world through a different lens, achieve my objectives and honour my values.
Oh, thank you, that's beautiful. So the Diversity Gug is a space for people to share their stories just as yours. What value do you see in having a space like this that can empower voices?
I think it's really important because we all go on our different journeys, sometimes doubting ourselves, and we might doubt ourselves because of our difference. When you're in a world that's not as kind as it could be, it's easy to think, well, I'm different and I don't deserve to be there, I'm not worthy. When you hear stories from other people whose differences are the same as yours, or who have overcome challenges, it's empowering and it's inspiring and it gives you hope, but it's also a blueprint, isn't it? If they can do it, let me follow the steps that they took. We get called pioneers, don't we? We're pioneers because we're we're making a path for others to follow. So the work that you're doing and these blogs are, you know, blueprints, they are paths for others to follow in our footsteps. I want them to go past me, you know, because why are we here? If it's always about, oh, you have to stop where I stopped or stop before where I stopped. No, we need the next generation to go beyond us, create their own furrow, create their own lived experiences, their own pathway, and then the next generation after them will follow and get further and beyond. Because that's why we're here, isn't it? Yeah. That's why we're here. That's why we're no longer dinosaurs, and we're no longer, apes. We're no longer people who haven't got awareness and understanding. We've grown, we've matured, and that's what we need to keep on doing.
Yeah, we're inspiring each other and standing on each other's shoulders.
Yeah, and we're standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
Giants.
Yeah. If there's a piece of advice you could give to someone who might be struggling with their identity or thoughts about their overlapping identities and the cultures they belong to and the different parts they balance, what would it be?
I suppose that no one can like or love you if you don't like or love yourself. So it starts with you. Everyone deserves to be here. Everyone is lovable, likeable. We've all just got to find our groove, and we will find it. Everyone finds their space, their place in the world at some point. You might have other people who are dissenters telling you, no, you're not good enough. No, your difference means that you're not of value. Keep away from those people. If you have got voices that are not positive, are not telling you you're beautiful, that are not telling you you can, not telling you that you're brilliant and to go in whatever direction you want, avoid those people because they're not your friends. Love yourself. Find ways to love yourself. Like the things that you're doing. You know, really mindfully think about, what am I doing? Is it in line with my values? Do I get that dissonance when I'm doing stuff that I know is not in line with my values? Because if you are, don't do it. Stop doing it. Forget that you've done it in the past. Forgive yourself. Move forward with your new promise to yourself that I'm going to live those values and be a really good person, and then I'll like myself. And when I like myself, I really don't care if anybody else likes me. It's more important that I like me. But the funny thing is, everybody does like you when you like you. So then your identity becomes part of who you love and like. Becomes part of who everybody else loves and likes, and hopefully then you become that role model, you become that inspiration, you become that pioneer, and you look back at your life and you think, oh yeah, I get it now. Mm-hmm. Just as I'm doing, you know, I'm getting to the last bit of my, you know, working life, maybe life, who can say, I feel like I've made a bit of a dent in a good way. I feel okay.
Yeah,
and that's another tip. Whenever you've got a big decision to make, think about how I'm going to feel about that at the end. When I'm looking back on my life and thinking, did I live my life the way I wanted to live it? Did I do the things that I promised myself I would do? Did I honour those values? That will help you make the right decisions so that when you do get to the end, you've got no regrets.
That's really good advice. Is there anything else you'd like to add on reflection? Thinking about your experience maybe in your career or personal life?
I think I've been really lucky in my life. Maybe I've made that luck because I've been positive, I've tried to be happy, I've tried to bring joy, I've tried always to help those people who maybe needed some extra support and not be judgmental. So I've been really, really lucky in my life. But what helped me turn from, you know, the anxiety and the depression and, you know, the difficulties I experienced when my childhood trauma came to a head, and it will, if you've got childhood trauma, you've got to deal with it because it will always come to a head, and I was in my mid-40s when it came to a head with me, is that I forgave myself. It's really important, forgive yourself, because we're only human. We're not machines. We'll make mistakes. And as long as we then decide, I was that person and I don't like that person, and now I'm going to be this person and I'm going to like this person. You can forgive yourself and move forward, but if you can't forgive yourself, you're stuck. So forgive yourself. It's really important. You're worth it. You're entitled to another chance, and that will free you up to become the person that you were always meant to be.
That's lovely. Something that just came to mind is something that I heard when I've spoken to a lot of people, and sometimes students, different people say when they resonate with thoughts about identity that they feel that they're too brown to be in one space or too white to be in another space, and that's how they navigate that, or they've had those thoughts. I wondered if you've ever had those thoughts and how you've tackled that.
I've definitely been in places where there were only white people, and I've definitely been in places with black people who have said, you're not black enough.
Yeah.
I've definitely been there, but I choose to be who I am and to, occupy those spaces on my terms, not on theirs. So those white people, I say to them, we are the same in many, many, many ways. And I've got something to contribute, so I get on with doing what I've got to do, and I work positively. And I think the fact that I'm half white is really a very positive thing for me. My Irish mother, I am half white, and I do understand the way that some people feel and think, and I've got nothing to be ashamed of. So I feel like I fit in both, and even if they don't feel like I fit, I know that I fit. So I just go in there on my own terms and do what I know I've got to do. And by the end of that meeting, the end of that day, the end of that month, year, whatever it is, I've got a lot of friends because I work hard at making those friends. But I don't collude. If someone says something that's out of order, I put that mirror up and say, can I just point out that maybe somebody else might be offended by that? Maybe you didn't mean to say it quite like that. I know you really well, so I know you didn't mean to, describe it in that way. Can I just point that out so that you can make some different choices next time? So you don't go in there with a big sledgehammer.
Yeah.
You help people to understand that maybe they've made an error and allow them to reflect and not do it again. But in black spaces, I've been told by black people that I'm not black. I've been told that, oh, you're half white, so you're not black, or you're, in the olden days, half caste, that was what they used to say, or mixed race now, or dual heritage, whatever nomenclature people want to choose, but they do it to put you down, but they're not putting me down, because I'm Alison Lowe and I know who I am and I like me. So you do that and I put that mirror up. So I was once talking to a black woman who says, I'm a black woman, and I said, well, I'm a black woman. I'm a black woman. And I dared her to argue with me. I dared her to say, no, you're not. Well, she didn't. She backed down. Because I'm Alison Lowe and I love myself, I like myself, and I know who I am. And I told her.
I love that. And on that note, I think that's a great place to end this. It's been really inspiring. Thank you so much. And I really hope that everyone watching can really take those words of wisdom and resonate, and hopefully they can take on some of those words of advice.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.